This is the Trio from TTartisan, the 17mm f1.4, the 35mm f1.4 and the 50mm f1.2. This is a set of manual prime lenses for APS-C and Micro Four Thirds mirrorless cameras, and in the interest of transparency, I want you to know that TTartisan sent me these lenses for free to review, but they haven't asked me to say anything specific in the video, so all the thoughts and opinions are my own. Also, there's a download link in the description so you can get some of the raw files and have a look for yourself what they look like without the YouTube compression getting in the way. Alright, let's grab this 50 and get out there. Alright, so here it is on the Sony A6000, and I think it looks and feels awesome. With regards weight, this comes in at 336 grams, while its obvious alternative, the Sony FE 50mm 1.8, comes in at a little over 180 grams. Now, I chose the FE as its obvious alternative because this is as bare bones as they get. The APS-C version has stabilization and all kinds of things. This is the basic one. So yeah, I think this is a more equal match. Now, when it comes to price, the TTartisan comes in at pretty much £100 dead, whereas the Sony alternative comes in about £180. But obviously, for the extra money, you're getting the Sony brand for a start, but you're also getting autofocus, the lens hood, etc. Now, the TTartisan didn't come with a lens hood, but it's got a 52mm filter thread, and I have one of these flexible pop-out lens hoods. Works absolutely perfectly, so this is all I use. I got this cheap off the internet, I think maybe Amazon or eBay. Alright, so let's go find some compositions. Let's put this thing through its paces. I'm going to look for some really high contrast scenes to see how it does with regards to highlights and flaring and fringing and things like that. But I used it last night to get some low light examples, which I will show you towards the end of the video. It performed fantastically. Even at 1.2, you see, here's the thing I noticed is in strong light, like we've got right now, at 1.2, you get that softened kind of effect, wide open. Only at minimum focus distance though, which is strange. But at night, when the light obviously isn't so harsh and you're dealing with artificial lights, as long as you're not looking straight in them, at 1.2, this thing is really, really sharp. Let's talk about settings real quick. It is super bright and super warm today. It's supposed to get to like 30 degrees. And if you know anything about the weather in England, that's basically gas max 6. So we're keeping this bit really quite brief. I'm at f5.6, 1/1000th of a second, and ISO 100 to start with. That's giving me a fairly reasonable exposure. That might change depending on whether I'm in a shaded area or not. But yeah, that's where we're going to start. So let's try and find some compositions that have that real nice harsh light and shadow. All right, so I'm gonna go over to these flowers over here. I'm gonna take a shot with the TTartisan 50. I'm gonna take a shot with the Sony 50mm f1.8. And we'll just compare the two on screen. All right, so let's do the TTartisan first. I'm going to go down to f2 because I don't think there's a click on this for f1.8, and 1.8 is the fastest that the Sony can do. So let's do that. Bring the exposure back down. And this is going to be tricky because it's too bright for 1.8. All right. The peaking is telling me that that's in. All right, let's switch to the Sony and do the same shot again. It looks like to me that the minimum focus distance on the Sony is about the same as that of the TTartisan. All right, so there's those two images. I'll put them on the screen for you. For testing purposes, got the ND on there, going to shoot a little bit of B-roll. So here's that sequence, and then we'll talk about the low light shots and my overall thoughts about the lens and who I think this lens is for. So where does a lens like this fit in your kit? Well, it's a 1.2, so it's going to be a great portrait lens. It's going to be a great low light lens. Speaking of which, I went out last night with my friend. We got a whole bunch of test shots. So here's some of those. So who's this lens for? Well, honestly, like last night, I said to my friends that I could quite easily see this replacing my 50mm f1.8. The lack of autofocus doesn't bother me. I love vintage lenses, I love manual lenses, but sometimes you want that experience without experiencing the quirks that come with some of those old lenses, like the Helios 44 with its weird swirl and some of the color shifts that you get from the coatings on the old lenses. This has none of that. It's a very clean image. And of course, it's not perfect. It's a little bit soft, wide open in certain lighting conditions. There are some chromatic aberrations and a little bit of distortion, but it's nothing that can't be fixed in Lightroom very quickly, very simply. So to summarize, would I recommend this lens? Yeah, absolutely. For £100, absolutely. I would say optically, it's at least on par with the 50mm 1.8. From a user experience, I think it's better. But yeah, I mean, if you've used these lenses, let me know in the comments down below. Now, TTartisan did give me an affiliate link, which is in the description down below. If you are interested in looking at this or any of their other lenses, you can follow that link. I will get a little bit of commission from that, but that doesn't affect the price you pay. So if you do use that, thank you very much. Now, I do have the whole trio, which is the 17mm, the 35 and the 50mm. I'm going to be reviewing them all. This is just the first one because 50 is my absolute favorite focal length. So yeah, keep your eyes open for those. Subscribe if you're not already, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.